I had a problem and I needed to find somebody to fix it for me. So this is an engine case from a 2022 Indian Chief Dark Horse, and I took this motor apart all the way down to the bare motor case to fix a crack that's in it that's causing it to leak. Well, the problem is it's aluminum and you need a welder to fix these type of issues, and I am not a welder, so I had to go find somebody that could do this, and I had one on standby and it did not work out. So let me tell you exactly what happened. So I reached out to somebody that I thought was going to be able to solve this for me, and they wanted to charge me upwards of $2,000, and Brandon ain't got $2,000. I know people see these bikes in here, but guess what? All of these bikes are either one or two things. They're either not mine or they're financed, right? I ain't got $2,000 to fix no crack. So I was well prepared to do this myself.
Y'all think I'm playing. I had my freaking rotary tool ready. I had my gloves so I didn't get cut up by these freaking wire. I had my rotary kit so I can get the various accessories. And I think I'm playing. And I had my freaking JB Weld. I was not playing. I was ready to do this.
Except I know some of you will tell me, Brandon, if you're gonna do it right. So I had to go back to the drawing board. So I had already reached out to several welders, and essentially they didn't want to touch it. So I had to go understand like why didn't they want to touch it, and then I had to go learn how to weld. I was very prepared to weld this myself, and I went down the whole rabbit hole of how to weld basically metal. And I was gonna go to Harbor Freight because Harbor Freight is my best friend, right? And I started, learning about flux core and TIG welding, and I was like, wait, a flux core, that's only $125. So I did like a 50 video research essay on how this was gonna solve my problem. And then that's when I realized that flux core welding is not for aluminum, it is for steel. So that was not gonna solve my problem. So this is back to the drawing board. So the two welders that I tried to get to do this before I found the welder that was kind of on standby basically came down to they didn't want to, I guess, have the liability of it not working and solving the problem. So again, now guess what? We're back to square one. I decided to reach out to somebody that I essentially kind of knew from my childhood because I knew he knew how to weld, and I was like, hey bud, hey listen. So I got this thing, do you know anybody that can weld and fix this? And he said, I can do it for you. I can do it. So I thought, okay, cool. So we went back and forth, and then he tells me, what did this part come off of? And I was already thinking in my head, like, why do you need to know what it come off of? I just need you to fix it, right? I just need you to fix it. It don't matter where it come out, just fix it. So basically, I was already peeping this game before we even got to the meat and potatoes of why he was trying to figure this out. So he comes back later and says, like, I can't find what this comes off of. But basically what he was trying to do, he was trying to figure out what it comes off of so he can base his price off of that. Now, little did he know, I had already researched how much a welder makes per hour. To an extent anyway. Like, some welders are better than others, some are experts, some, but I wasn't looking for perfection on this. So I went and looked this up, and an expert welder makes around, let's say on the super upper end, let's say $150 an hour, right? That's on the super high end. But in most cases, they probably make right at $100 and sometimes $80 an hour, right? So I tell him exactly what this part comes off of, and he said the reason why he asks that is because he charges 50% of what that part costs new. Now, if you guys remember, or at least some of you, this is half of a motor block. Brand new, these motor blocks are $4,000, meaning that this is a $2,000 part, right? And I basically told him, dude, if we're going off of that original, hey, I charge 50% of what this costs new, you can't buy this piece as a half. You have to buy the whole thing. So it would have been $4,000. And I was like, dude, I don't have $2,000 to give you to fix this crack. And this is where it gets even better. I had to travel 40 miles to take this part to him, and I had to clean it, and then I had to drive 40 miles after picking it up. So basically I had to drop it off to him and pick it up, right? That's 80 miles, right? 80 miles. Gas ain't cheap right now. It ain't cheap. So I told him, I was like, look, man, $2,000 or around that ballpark. I was like, no, that's too much. Now remember what I said. Expert welders make right at $100 an hour, right? So he comes back and says, after basically I didn't respond after that, I was like, look, for $2,000, I was like, I'd rather go buy a TIG welder get some blank coupons, like metal coupons, and try to do this myself versus paying somebody even $1,000. I can go get a decent welder for 500, 600 bucks, right? So he comes back and says, you know, 2,000, what about 500? And I was thinking to myself, dude, you are still getting over on me. No. So what did I do? Here's what I did. I have somebody currently making spacers for me for a rim because I didn't put 2 and 2 to freaking together. I have a rim that's going on this motorcycle that is not a stock rim. The rim that I'm putting on there uses 2 rotors and the stock rim only uses 1. So I'm going to put a closeout piece, like essentially an aluminum spacer, to close up that none side where the rotor is going to be to make it look pretty. So I was like, wait a minute, Brandon, if they can cut aluminum pieces, surely they can weld, right? So I already had the engine block just sitting in the car for a few days, and I basically made a phone call after I had already dropped the rim off. I said, hey, do y'all do aluminum TIG welding? And the little nice lady on the phone said, yeah, baby, we do welding. I was like, bro, I could have solved this problem in the beginning. So guess what? 5 minutes after that phone call happened, I took the motor block down there, dropped it off, showed it to him. I was like, look, bro, this is what I got. Can you help me? He said, yeah, we can fix that. I was like, cool. I didn't even ask him for price or anything because I was like, surely it's better than 500 bucks. And I only had to drive 5 miles, right? And plus they're already doing work for me. He tells me $100 to fix this crack, right? $100. Let me show you what it looks like. Primary crack was right here, and then there was a crack right here, and really this was kind of elevated. So what they did, they actually, I guess, creased this to kind of make those cracks level, and then they basically just went over it and welded it. And also there was the part under the bike where the actual leak came from, is majority right here. They sealed that perfectly, and they, I guess, added some filler here to make sure that it doesn't, I guess, spread further. You see that right there too. That crack kind of went like that. So they sealed this perfectly fine. Also, they left me enough where I can shave this down if I really had to. And also they said that this was more than likely from the casting of the aluminum. So there's no issue with this. And also you can see that they did not cover up very important journal holes for the oil to flow through the bike. So yeah, they left me some room to shave this down if I had to. So yes, that is $100. That is not pretty, but guess what? It doesn't have to be pretty, because guess what? It's on the inside of the motor block. It's not pressurized. It doesn't have to look pretty. And if you're under the bike looking that close, listen. You need to back up because you ain't supposed to be that close anyway. So I'm not looking for pretty. I really wanted this to just not leak. And guess what? Even if I only paid them $100, at this point, if I had to pay the other person 500 bucks, it probably would have looked the exact same because I'm only paying them to plug the hole and to basically seal it so it doesn't leak. For 500 bucks, I'm probably going to be getting the same amount of work, except I'm giving somebody money that's clearly trying to get over on me. And also, I didn't feel comfortable even after him offering 500 bucks to take him the part, because I felt like, being that I'm dropping this off to him and he's going to take it to his shop and do it versus me like going to an actual shop, there's a possibility that he can keep the part and want more money before he will release it back to me. And now we got a bigger issue. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to wipe this clean. I'm not even going to worry about it. And to be completely honest, if he came back and said, I'm going to only charge you $250, I probably would have went ahead and done it. But the fact that we started so high and then he tried to compromise and said 500, and then that was still outside of the range of an average welder's charge, I was like, dude, this is crazy. And I was like, this is an expert welder should only take an hour to do this. And that's essentially, when I took it to the right people, that's what it came out to be. So I know the welds aren't pretty, but that is not going to leak anymore. And that was the complete goal. So I guess the value of the story in here is that sometimes you have to be more resourceful than usual. Sometimes it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, 7, 8 people for you to find the person that's willing to do the thing that you're trying to get done. And in this case, I needed somebody to weld this. I didn't want it to be pretty. It's inside of the bike. I just wanted it to be reliable. I needed a reliable weld. And unfortunately, it took me a few tries to find somebody reliable enough that was going to do the work for me and not just charge me straight out just pull it straight from the ether, like this is what I'm going to charge you, take it, and as if that was my only option, and it wasn't. So that's the story. The motor is now ready to be put back together. Now I just got to order the various seals and I guess different pieces that have to be changed because we just took a motor completely apart for the first time, and we're going to get it done. I hope you learned something. Resource out, find people that can do the job that you want to get done, and don't get screwed over. Yeah, but as always, thanks for listening to my story. If you're subscribed, which I hope you are, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.